All right. Hello and welcome everybody to New Earth Consciousness. I'm sitting here with Matilda Lerche. Am I saying the last name right? Yes.
Almost.
Forgot to ask you. How do you pronounce it?
In Danish, we pronounce it Lerche, but I usually pronounce it Lerche when I speak
Oh, okay. Oh my
internationally.
goodness. All
So,
right. Thank you for that. It's so interesting. Okay. So, Matilda, as a healer and a spiritual coach, you combine energy healing with higher wisdom life coaching to help people awaken to their full potential. And you guide others in accessing their higher wisdom, aligning their energy for optimal well-being, facilitating powerful shifts in perspective, alignment, and growth. And before you embraced energy healing, you pursued a career in science. And during an annual fieldwork trip to Africa, you had an accident that became a catalyst for your shift forward towards a more soul-aligned path. And through your recovery, you discovered extraordinary abilities to work with energy and how to heal your own body. And since then, you've been dedicating yourself to helping others return to their true self and find peace within their bodies. And for the audience, her website is awakenwithmatilda.com. So if you want to check her out. So, so take us back. Well, first of all, welcome and thank you.
thank you, Tanya. I'm excited to be here. I'm
Yeah,
excited for this conversation.
yeah. Yeah, so take us back to who you were before your awakening and what life looked like at that time.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. It's so fun to look back at, or funny to look back at this big contrast between who I were and who I feared to be. And I'm going to explain a bit more about that. I was in science. I was a biologist. I had already finished my master's degree and was doing a PhD. And at that time, I was very much in the mind. I was studying. I had been studying for many years, and really that was like my strength, was being in the mind, very logical, very analytical. And my body was suffering so many health challenges up through my 20s. I had some pain so many places in my body. Um, and I was seeing a chiropractor every 2 weeks or so, just to like maintain a level within my body so I was not in great pain. And I just wanted this career in science. I was just really there and had a life where I had a lot of friends. I still had a lot of friends, but I had a lot of friends that I was going out with and having a normal life as a young person. But at the same time, my body could just not keep up with this. It was just showing me great signs of misalignments. But I didn't know that at that time. I just thought my body was broken. I just thought I was like, I was disappointed about my body. I thought I just couldn't do what other people could do, and it was supposed to be able to do it. So there was a lot of through my 20s until the awakening. It's very interesting to look back at how this shift just revealed to me why my health challenges were there.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I think there was no way for me to just align myself, because I did not have the wisdom, the knowing, nor the tools. So I was just approaching it in a way of like fixing it, wanting it to go away. So
Right. Yeah, we're kind of thrust into this world with no how-to manual, right? And yeah, the unseen world of energy is not it's not something that's taught in school. It's not, I mean, unless you're connected with the right people, you would have never know anything about it. I know that
yeah,
was the case for me. It was like
yeah.
you're taught that, well, if you're not feeling well, you go to the doctor and you take the pill, or maybe, at best you go to a chiropractor or an acupuncturist, or, there's alternative healing modalities that are, kind of mainstream. But yeah, it goes much deeper than that, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you look around and see what's there, and you do what other people do, and think that you have to solve the problems that are in the way of you being like other people. the thing was, my mother was actually quite spiritual, but I did not align with her perspective. So spirituality did not feel like a place I wanted to go, because she was viewing, for example, health challenge with much more like, I would say at that time I felt it as blame, like you did something to cause this on yourself, like more the wrong thinking, like you were having like, yeah, how can I say it? I feel it's sometimes a misunderstanding of alignment, or just understanding of the soul's perspective, because in a way, yeah, we did call some of these things in, but it was not from the play of punishing ourselves, or this dense energy. It was more the sense of the neutral aspect or perspective that the soul has, or that's at least how I see it, and how I found it later on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, interesting. So you had this journey where, you didn't feel all that connected with your body. It was kind of a mystery. You tried to quote unquote maintain it and do the right things from a more maybe rational perspective. And then you had this car accident, correct? While you were in Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
So what happened, and how did that experience change the trajectory of your life?
Yeah. So the interesting things was actually I had several experiences just leading up to that, where my body was reacting strongly. I was having like this like doctor's examination, and my body went into shock like half a year before I got into the hospital. Things like that was showing me that my body was just alert, and it was just ready for a change. And leading up to the whole field trip to Sierra Leone, I was just in so much fear. I didn't know that it was fear at that time. I just thought it was some sort of stress. And I went there anyway. And we had a car accident where we were driving home in the evening, and there was this tree that had fallen over. We drove into a tree root, and it like got stuck on it. So it would just stop very abruptly, the car, and I flew up into the ceiling.
Wow.
And there were no seat belts in the car, and also we were in a place in Sierra Leone where there was no tarmac road, no running water, no electricity in that whole part of the country. So it was an interesting experience. I went out of the car, and I just felt like, am I going to react? And then I could just feel my whole energy shrink into a small, like, I felt it was like shrinking into a small, like, point. And that was actually interesting, because I was not into or understanding energy at that point. But I just remember that odd feeling of like, everything just shrinking, and then like, okay, no reaction. I didn't have a reaction. I just froze. And then coming back to my normal life after, I was trying to cling on to it. And everything was just going downhill in my health. So it was concussion and whiplash and post-traumatic stress later on, and just got more and more pain in my body, and just felt that I really had to cling on to my work. So even my PhD is considered work, so you do get paid a normal salary, and it was a feeling of I had to cling on to that. And the funny thing that I was fearing if I let this go, I will just go on like this social route. I will just move into the countryside and these things. And that was like, oh, I don't want that. I was fearing that. Later on, that was the thing I said I was avoiding, like it was like there were some fears that I was avoiding. The thing was after my awakening, which happened like a few months later, I was like, I want to go live in the countryside. And like I was like holding something from myself, like putting in this fear of becoming this person. So it was so interesting how that had snuck in there as well, that energy.
Interesting. And so how did you begin your recovery? Or you shared with me, when we talked before, that during your recovery, at some point, your body started to, I guess, just start moving, like kind of spontaneously, and releasing energies in ways that traditional medicine has no way to explain it. So I was wondering if you could share that experience with us.
Yeah, so after I think almost half a year, I was really in a bad condition, and I was seeing all these different practitioners, and one of them, he was like a trauma therapist, but also a craniosacral therapist, and when I walked into him, he was like, "Oh, no, I can't touch your body, you're just too traumatized, so I'll just sit over here or in the corner, and I can guide you into your body." And I was really upset about that because I wanted him to fix me. He was just guiding me into my body, but lo and behold, that was what opened up this new way for me. And it was not it was not with the mind. It was like after a few times of him guiding me into my body, it was like my body started to do all these things by itself, taking spontaneous deep breath and start moving. And then one time, I think after the fifth time, my neck would start moving. I was like, do you see this? And he was like, yeah, I see this. It's like the body releasing the energy that has been stuck, and it's going to stop when it has released all of it. So I went home, and he called it like Kriya movements, or he said also myofascial unwinding. I've seen that there are techniques later on. I looked up at the internet. There are techniques like with the myofascial unwinding, but this just spontaneously started. And I went home, and I noticed in the evening that the movement stopped. I noticed, oh, now I can actually sit in a chair. I hadn't been able to sit down for weeks or months without a lot of pain. And then I thought it would stop, but then the next day it started. And I want to also say at the same time, it was this deep calm inside me. Like this complete sense of calm. So it's not like my body was moving and I was like in distress and like, what's that? It was more like, oh, I could feel something that knows me better than I know me is taking over now. And it continued. For the next 2 weeks, it was almost all the time.
Wow.
I did sleep at night, but I felt like my body was still moving. And it went through, it started one up in the neck, went through the entire body, the arms, the back, the stomach. It went through traumas that had been physical all the way back to my birth. And all I could do was observe. I could not do something else. I could not move my body in a different way. So I could just observe it. And then when I had to eat, it was like, oh, just wait a minute. My arm is doing something and I'm gonna eat meanwhile. My arm is doing something. I had never heard about it.
Yeah.
And that's also why I'm so keen to share it, because I think so many people sit out there and have no idea what intelligence the body is. I didn't know. I thought that I need a magical pill from outside, or I need to change something, or maybe I can never heal. I had not thought of this option, that the body could just spontaneously stop to recover.
Was there, as your body was, I'm just curious, was it also like a psychic experience as well? Were you receiving messages or images or anything like that? Or was it just purely a physical thing that was happening?
That's the interesting thing, because it was mainly physical. And I was not open spiritually at that time. So it's not like I had my guides there. I didn't even know there was something called guides. I had the feeling that it was my soul coming in and was like taking over. Like, now you tried, now I'm going to help you. I know your body better than you. So let's just get this done. So there was also like my hands spontaneously moving to press places on the body. And anchoring in. So, but all that, I was just observing it. What happened later that was really interesting was that, I want to say in that context, so not messages, but there was rewiring of beliefs. So I felt like my mind would go around like a sentence, and it was like, delete, this is the right sentence now.
Oh, wow.
Bring in a new, yes, that's wild. It was wild. And in 2 weeks, I went from not being able to sleep at night due to so much pain, not being able to sit on a chair, to my body doing spontaneous yoga movements. I did not have one pain in my body, and my body was able to do all these things that I had never thought possible for me. And over the coming months, the movements become less and less like, in the sense of that they were different from my other behavior, but I would have hours every day where the movements would move through me, and I would be able to do headstands and things like that. Not from my mind thinking, now I'm going to do headstand, but simply observing what is my body doing, and
Wow.
do these things. So
Wow. So that is so wild. And I guess I'm curious, at any point did you feel like this is crazy, what is happening to me? I mean, did you ever have any concerns about or was there just automatically complete trust in the process?
yeah, so the thing was that there was this complete trust. So I remember talking with my mom, who had done a lot of like trauma work. So she was a little worried, and like we were just texting. I was like, no, but it's not exhausting. It's not difficult. It's not heavy. It's like at the same time as this was coming in with the physical movements, there was also this complete landing of peace.
Yeah.
And what I would say was also, maybe it helped that I actually thought that this was what my therapist did. So until I went to the next time, I thought he knew that this would be happening. I thought that I
Oh,
was a part of that.
yeah. Oh,
So he was
funny.
like, no, I didn't exactly do that. But he said he actually experiencing happening sometimes, not as much as it did for me,
Yeah.
but he does observe like these spontaneous movements happening.
Yeah. So fascinating. Um, it's so interesting. It's like, do you feel that looking back on your your life and past experiences, do you feel like there was some kind of destiny or like this was somehow meant to happen? That it wasn't an accident, really?
I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I look back, and because what opened in me at that time was a complete like the peace and the knowing of the path forward and the connection with the soul. It took some time for me to realize what the connection was, and that there was more than just my soul. There was this guides, and there were all these things waiting for me. But what had happened all up through my 20s was actually once in a while I was thinking, this thought popped into my mind, oh no, they're going to come soon and take me away to the like 4 months monastery. That was something that popped up once in a while. Oh no, they're going to come and take me away from the monastery.
Hmm.
Like, and I was like, what? When that thought come up, like I was going to be to live a holy life, like in a life dedicated to God, and that was popping up once in a while, and I had this life in science and was partying wild at that time, so it was just a thought that felt like it came out of nowhere, and
Hmm.
I always like pushed it away, like that's not that thought.
Do you think that was like a past life memory?
Yeah. I think that was the feeling of when you were a child and you're not taking, but you recognize as a reincarnated soul, like in the Tibetan traditions or some of those traditions, the Eastern traditions, and you start serving as a child, right? You were found when you were a child and you were taken away to a monastery and you live your life there. So I feel that there was this, even my own recognition of this past life, but there's also like a shared memory, like in the collective consciousness of that experience, like when you're young and you're moving into this place to start serving God. So that's really how it was.
Interesting. So, all right, so you had this experience, your body was healed, and I'm guessing at that point you're like, I'm done with science. I'm going to do something else entirely with my life.
Yeah. Not yet, actually. I enjoyed this science for a couple more years as well. So I actually really enjoy, at that time, I did not know that I was going to help people. So when I came back to that practitioner who had helped me, he said, so when you're going to start working with people, and I was like, no, I'm not going to start working with people. I'm a biologist. So that was my first way of seeing it, and he was like, okay, let's just play that. And so for some years, I was still there, and I enjoyed being there, and I enjoyed being there without any stress. So I felt like I was the only one in that place who was completely calm. And that was much more joyful to be there from that place. And so I enjoyed the years, and then I started opening up to start working with healing and imbalances. And then it went fast. It felt like a contract had ended with my PhD, like a divine contract of yes, I want to finish this, and then completely gone. Because then it was like the doors really closed. I could not go back. Even though I tried in the beginning, it was like 1 and 2 weeks social science work, it's like, nope, that path is closed.
Interesting. So, so eventually you made the choice to start learning more about energy work. Did you decide to just take some trainings, or were you just coming up with your own form of healing? Like, how did that look?
Yeah, I was inspired to start studying, and the guide I found was certified. She had also been in the scientific world before she had opened, so it felt like a really good fit for me to be there for some years. And then I started doing my own. But for the first 2 years after that opening, I actually felt called to not let any other teachers or anything influence me. And I don't know about social media, but maybe it was not so active at that time, but I did not look at social media or anything to look for similar experiences. I was actually kind of interested. So I had 2 years where I was just experiencing the continuous unfolding of these gifts. And I want to share one funny thing. What also came was like drawings. I was like channel drawings. I did not know that was channel drawings. I was just observing my hand. And I know that was like my guides giving me some messages that I did not understand at that time. It was like, it was actually kind of funny because I did some drawings that make sense now. But at that time I was just like, that is weird. Let me just, I don't know what that means. So I did not experience the connection. I was trying to bring it in, but I did not see the connection. That's
Interesting. Yeah. So, I want to ask some other questions here. So we're going to dive into your to your work, your energy work, and so I'm curious, what are some of? Do you see any sort of common imbalances, energetic imbalances in people that you work with? Do you see any kind of
so,
common threads, or?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, okay. Yes, I do see that, and I also have this connection with the children. So what I found out later on and understand is that my energy body is similar to many of the children's, and also that was why these things would happen. Like I was really a presented spirit to unlock it and really integrate the soul into the body, and that's what I help many of the children with. So they are very sensitive, just as I was, trying to fit in a world that is less sensitive, like less wired for sensitive people, and have an idea about what sensitivity is and how we should deal with it. And then I was here, or I'm here to bring in a different way to navigate sensitivity. I can use it as your superpower to create a life that fits you, instead of trying to like dim it or let it go away so you could fit in what already is. It's like the other way around. So I always see that the adults I join are also very sensitive, and many have a connection with children. Some also have this special connection with their body where they have, and that's where the thing about not seeing from a dense perspective, like where they have a manifest or creative a lot of denseness in their body disease, but not from a place of wanting to stay there. but from a place of wanting to infuse with because it's a manifestation, you can say of their sensitivity and being in a dense world, not to be the sensitivity which would have.
Interesting. Yeah. Your sound is a little quiet. Is there any way that you could either come closer or
This is, I can shift to the other microphone, or is this better?
let me
Was it something
let
that
me
was
pause
triggered?
for a second. Okay. All right, we're back.
Yes.
So wonderful. So yeah, yeah, the work with the children seems to me like so important. I mean, I know for myself, I was before I got into energy work, I definitely felt like, serving children is important since they are the future. And I definitely had an awareness of how broken the education system is and continues to be in really not serving children to reach their highest potential. So, and especially the sensitive ones. So totally, totally understand that. Um, so when you work with children, are you sort of kind of do you work with their energy body or do you kind of help guide them or yeah, what is the approach exactly?
Yeah, so how we do it is remote healing of the children. And when they're small, it's without their knowing. So we are connecting with the parents and we are assisting the children. We are connecting with the child's higher self and making sure that it's their request. But the parents are then guided. They are the ones that are then guided also to see what is going on from a higher perspective, because we are trained to see the problems in what we are experiencing. But when we understand the underlying dynamics, so why did we choose to come here as a family? There might be a specific reason, and that might be what is playing out in the relationship. So it's not a mistake. It's not that they did something wrong or the child is wrong. It's simply just that they're shifting this dynamic that has been taking place in the family, and that can look like unwanted circumstances sometimes.
Mm, yeah. Can you maybe share a an outcome that you had in doing this work for a child without naming names, keeping it.
Yeah. So we have many where we have like these strong reactions in the child, or like they get very easily overwhelmed. And where they are, when we are helping them, they are feeling themselves again. They might be in a place where they're feeling everything else, like other people's emotions, everything that's happening around them, and it's difficult for them to connect with their own needs and their own wants. It feels like everything is like vibrating inside them, and it's difficult for them to like hone in on where am I, but they don't have the words to say that. So if the parents ask them what's wrong, they're like, "Brr." They
Yeah, how would
cannot
you know?
say, they cannot, they don't know, because they might be feeling their parents' emotions, and then they don't know how to put words to it. So we can help them to feel themselves. And it can also be a thing like they're so filled up with everyone else's emotions that they cannot feel if they're hungry or they have to pee, all those things that are just basic bodily functions, but they are just too much in the observing of what is going on around them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is one example.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. I know in in family constellations, it's often said that, a child comes into the world, they're so open. They're wide open. They have no way they don't have the discernment to say, "Oh, this is my energy and that's somebody else's energy," or they're just so trusting and, we in constellations we call it blind love, it's just and magical thinking like mom and dad is almost like a god and
Yeah.
they unknowingly unconsciously will just take on other other people's stuff, their mom's
Mhm.
sadness or dad's anger or whatever, and then of course naturally then it comes out in different behaviors that aren't has nothing to do with them. And so it's, yeah, very important that the parents are also doing the work. So I think that's really, really cool that 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 really it's like it almost, it kind of reminds me too of the relationship between a dog and a dog owner. When the dog is acting out, we, tend to think, oh, there's something I have to fix with the dog, and it's actually no, there's something with the master or the owner or whatever that needs to change something in them, that maybe they're
Yeah.
projecting onto the dog and they don't realize it, or yeah, and the dog's just having this reaction.
Yeah,
So,
even physical illness for the
oh yeah,
dogs, right?
yeah,
So they will often like have some things.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's really, really interesting. So you help with children, seems like you help them become their own um, sovereign self. I mean, obviously, still connected to their parents. Children need their parents. They need to have that relationship, but to come into their own true essence.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also see the parents that come to me, it's often also because they want their child not to carry that burden of either their emotions, or they can see in the child, oh, that's my behavior right over there in the child that is like inherited in some way, and I want my child to be free from that. If I can share an example, like we often, or many of us, at a point in our life have the belief like of not deserving love, or just distancing ourselves from love when we are sad or hurt. And we can see that in children sometimes. So when their love is there, they don't even feel it. It's like if they have that triggered within their emotional system, it's like mom and dad can be there and really love them, but they feel like no, 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 it's not there. And you can feel that in the moment their heart is opening again. Oh, that was love. There was love. And I think that's also for many of us when we go back through the healing phases or shift our perspective or our energy within it, we understand, oh, there was love. And I see that in the children that they can then reach out again instead of like moving away when they're sad. Some children do that, like they're like distancing themselves. They start receiving. If mom or dad come and want to hug them, they open up and want to have that hug. And that is natural for a small child to do. Like they take it in, they receive that comfort, but some will like carry that ancestral belief, and then they will just like move themselves away from that.
So, I'm curious, like, if you could give advice to parents who have spiritually sensitive children, what would you want them to know?
To really get to know themselves. I mean, because the child is feeling so much of them, or many are. And also, I would say to become embodied. So, my guides always say that the best thing you can do for children is to feel really comfortable in your body, because that is where they're challenged when they come in. Many of them, also, some of them that we give like diagnosis, what their experience is that there's not a deep connection with the body. And some of it, for some children, is because it feels uncomfortable to be connected with the body. It's like, oh, this doesn't feel good. Let me get out again. And the more you, as an adult, a parent, can feel like connect with your wholeness, being in the body, and feel calm, the easier it is for the child to like read that vibration and also feel that within themselves.
Yeah, have all of you there.
Mm.
Sneeze or I'm not going to sneeze. Okay, I think it will, I think it makes sense. Um, so let's move into the spirituality and awakening. What have you learned about the relationship between the body and the soul? I know that you were talking about earlier in your experience that you felt like your soul was like, okay, enough. You've tried to be in control, and now I'm going to take over. So can maybe talk a little bit more about that because I think it's yeah, we have these egos, right? We have this those mind, the ego that's also a part of us. So how can we become more in tune with our souls? I mean, your story is remarkable because in the sense of, I mean, you really thought like this is my path. Like I'm going for my PhD, this is the right thing to do. And I think a lot of us we don't and I'm sure at that time you didn't feel like your soul was out of alignment or anything like that. I mean, you said that.
Exactly. I feel I was
So,
right there.
right. So how do
Yeah.
we, how can we become more connected with our soul and our soul purpose? How do we get the mind and the ego out of the way?
So I feel it is the connection with the body and the stillness. And for me, what I understood about the ego in that process, because I understood it was the ego that had been holding me in these patterns, but I felt very much compassion with it because I could feel it was really acting out of fear all the time. Really just so fearful of being abandoned and outcast, fear of pain in my body. So it had been like trying to hold me on this narrow path, and then understanding that the soul was not moving with fear at all. It was like not important to it. It was like not a reality for the soul. It was like um it didn't matter, those thoughts. So that was what I could observe, because the ego did not get any say at that point. It was like my body would just do whatever it wanted, would walk away from a conversation if it did not feel aligned. And my mind could think, oh, that was maybe not polite, but my body was just, I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah,
So yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
So interesting. It's like I appreciate what you said and when you said, well, I had, you know, there was compassion for the ego or whatever and I feel like myself personally, in my own personal work, I've kind of come up and bumped up against my own shadow, you know, through, you know, my own experience of pursuing different things and looking back and going like, oh, like recognizing like, oh, that was my shadow really, you know, wanting to achieve something or gain something or, right?
Yeah.
Like it seems to me that perhaps, and maybe you can answer this question, that maybe one way to discern between the ego and the soul is the ego always feels like there's something missing and there's something you have to go get, right? Like,
Mhm.
oh, I have to do this so I can get that. Or um, because when I think of the soul is already whole. It's
Yeah.
complete, right? There's no, you don't come in, you know, your soul isn't like, oh, you're missing something. I mean,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
we are on a journey of learning and expansion as a soul. So I'm wondering if I'm on the right path when I'm in talking about this, you know, in
Mhm.
encounter the shadow, we encounter the ego, and you know, you can't really just force it under the rug or make it shut up or, you know, because that doesn't work. If you try to do that, then it just creates so much tension within then you're
Yeah.
fighting with something that's, you know, then it becomes painful. So I'm curious if you could talk about that.
Yeah, I feel so. It's like this soul does not have an agenda except for living and exploring and being. And I read one of your posts recently. I really resonated with that. The thing about pursuing things that are actually not your dream because your ego thinks, or it's like you've been inspired to think that this is what you should want, this is what success look like. But it makes it super difficult actually to manifest the things that are planted there which are not aligned, where the soul is like, when it's aligned with the soul, it's much easier because there is no agenda in going there. It's simply just like opening, and then it just flows in, and seeing that that's a perfect mirror reflection, and not trying to hold on to these things that this is what I should want and this is how I should live. So I really found that myself as well. And I think for us, when we are moving into that, just feeling or allowing ourselves to become really really open with ourselves. What do I actually want? Even if other people think this is not doesn't look like success. Even if other people think that this must be a failure, but I actually want this. I don't want a house on the beach. I want a house in the mountains or the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't want a big boat. I want a bike. Or
Right.
I don't want anything more. I actually have everything I want. And I think sometimes we can really want, I see it very much right now also in health. In
Mm.
health, and I also get sucked into these ideas because when I open my Instagram, there are 1,000 like posts about what I am missing
Right.
about my health. And that is definitely the ego playing out right there. You're missing something. There's something that is like right there around the corner trying to attack you with this disease, or your body's not working well. How it's made is it's not how it's supposed to be. You need something extra. So I feel that is the ego, and I see that we can recognize our soul in the stillness also, as you said, like it's not want anything. It's not there's no fear there. It's not feeling there's something lacking. It's in the stillness, and it can still guide us to take some supplements or whatever it is, but
Yeah.
it's not from fear. It's from the stillness and wanting to explore, or feeling that this is the perfect match for me right now.
Right.
Not like I'm gonna miss out if I don't have this, or I'm gonna miss my perfect health or wealth if I don't buy this.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's super tricky.
it is. It is.
The world is can be very seductive, and so yeah, that going within. And so I'm curious if you could share with us what current offerings do you have, and what are the ways that you work with people?
Yeah. So I do one-on-one sessions, both for children. Those are remote sessions, and they're also a package is including one session for the parent, one of the parents, or both of them. And then I also have one-on-one sessions, and then I have a community for women who feel like living in alignment with their highest self. And we call it the goddess community because, as I experience, we are choosing to become goddesses when we are bringing our highest light into the body. We acknowledge that we are here as an extension of God and choosing to live that divinity. So
Yeah.
those are my current offerings, and I shared in the beginning it's on awakenwithmatilda.com, and people are welcome to reach out if they want to connect.
Yeah, beautiful. So upon closing, I'd love for you to maybe just share last words or whatever, like a message that you would want the audience to really hear and know, especially in perspective to what's happening now in the collective, and
Mhm.
yeah, what it is that you would want people to take away.
Yes, and I feel it's in the extension of what we talked about with the body. I'm getting
Yeah,
very
getting lots of
enlightened
light.
here, glowing more and more. Uh, and it is that we have so much more within us than we think or than we know, and that we can get so into the mind that we miss out on the possibilities, the opportunities that are here in the moment, whether it's guidance around health or wealth or wisdom or direction. We can get caught up in wanting it to come from outside or the magic pill, but there's so much more to gain from within, and from there we will feel if something is a resonant match. So feel it is an extension of what we already talked about,
Mhm.
the wisdom, and also that there is so much more than we have heard of or can even imagine for us
Yeah,
on that path.
yeah, amazing. Matilda, thank you so much for being here and sharing your remarkable story. Um, and to the audience, please like, share, and subscribe. Um, Again, check out her website, and thank you all so much.
Thank you, Tanya, and thanks to everyone.
All right. Bye, everyone.